Hello, everyone, and welcome to Social Chats. This is episode number 33, and you're going to see me looking a little bit to the right because we are also, or which would be camera left. We're also live on Instagram, as Catherine and I like to do. My name is Heather, and my wonderful business partner, Catherine, is with us today. Catherine will be the producer of the show, and in just a minute, I will be introducing a phenomenal woman who is Bonnie Chomica with Marketing Done Right. Her tag is, she's the Chief Word Wrangler. So if you're struggling with creating content for marketing purposes, it doesn't just have to be social media, it could be for your website or for whatever, it would be a really good idea to get a pen and paper and stay tuned and listen to what Bonnie has to share with all of us today. What is Social Chats? Well, Social Chats is a show that Catherine and I have put together, and it's where we go out and we find people that are really killing it in the industry, whether they're teaching marketing, online, social media. It's just people that we want to bring on our show so they can share with you what it is they're doing that's making them so successful and their business model. If you think that you would be a wonderful guest on our show, Social Chats, we would love to hear from you. If you would like to produce your own show, but you would like a little help in putting it together, just reach out to Catherine and I. We're always here to help our tribe, so to speak. It is now my pleasure to introduce to all of you today's guest, coming to us from Vancouver Island. Now, our guest is Bonnie Chomica, and Bonnie has a company, Marketing Done Right. And it's not the check mark right, it's WRITE. And she is, of course, the Chief Word Wrangler. And Bonnie just helps people understand how to create content for marketing purposes. And it is my absolute pleasure to bring Bonnie into the studio. Welcome, Bonnie.
Hello, Heather. How are you doing today?
I'm absolutely wonderful. I was reading up on your bio. You have lived all across Canada in some of the biggest cities. And now you have chosen to settle and do your business on Vancouver Island. What a beautiful spot to be.
It was a good choice.
Tell us a little bit about your journey.
The big city world was certainly a corporate environment, and big companies and also startup companies. And most of my work was around translating the jargon of engineers and coders. They were all high-tech companies. And so just trying to make things clear so that a client could understand what we were trying to help them with. And then when I moved to Vancouver Island, there's not a lot of marketing jobs here. So I started my own business and zeroed in on copywriting and content writing, helping people doing their marketing for them, mostly newsletters, social media, website content, things of that nature. And now I'm more mentoring the people, that entrepreneurs that are do-it-yourself marketers, but they don't always know if they're doing things right or what might be missing, or they just don't know what they don't know, right? So I, give them feedback on what they're doing and then monitor any progress and give them recommendations on how they can improve. And that's been lots of fun.
Excellent. Well, it's interesting because there's a lot of different meanings around content marketing. And for the people that are tuned in right now, or the people that watch the replay, or everyone over there on Instagram, what is content marketing, Bonnie?
Marketing itself is a big word with lots of different things, and so is content marketing. Content marketing is a strategy that focuses around creating and sharing value added or valuable content that's not necessarily promotional. The whole idea behind it is to show your expertise, to show what you know, and share and position your brand. It positions you as the go-to expert, as the thought leader in that area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Bonnie, why is content marketing so important today?
It's a long-term strategy, so it's certainly not a as a media, it builds your credibility and it builds brand awareness. So the more often people see content from you that's valuable, I mean, think about your own search habits. When you go online, you're looking for answers to your questions, there's solutions to your problems. And if you're providing valuable, those are is going to stand out. There's also, if you're doing it for a period of time, then it's good for search results. So Google will recognize, Google wants you to have a good search experience. So if your brand is providing valuable content, and they will recognize that, and then if you're using keywords and promotion, they will tend to rank you higher. There's also that know, like, and trust factor that we all look for. If people are looking at you online and they haven't met you yet, then if they see that valuable content that you're continuing to provide, then they start to get to know you and then trust you. And people aren't always ready to buy right away. But if they get to know your brand and familiar with that, then when they think of that product, they're more likely to think of your brand. The last thing is about nurturing your email list. Your email list is one of the most important assets for a business, and you can certainly do that with content marketing. It's a way for, lots of people give away free things, or if you have a blog post, people want more information, then, you can trade for those valuable email lists. Mm-hmm. So those are just some ideas of how important it can be.
Yeah, so you're positioning yourself in, not only on your website, but if you're online, as the go-to person for whatever specifically your niche is.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the more we used to talk about, the more you write about something, when you write, you are an author. And when you're an author, you become the authority for the subject for which you're writing about. Also today, there's so many different avenues that people can be using to put content online and get it out there. So you need to be in front of the eyeballs, and you need to, how do people come up with content, like constantly having to come up with content to produce for your social media or writing? Do you have any secrets to that, Bonnie?
It depends. There's some common things, I think, for every business to look at. And the first thing would be, specifically consider your client or customer. Like what are their challenges? Think of their business. What is, what keeps them up at night? What do they struggle with? What are they searching for? And if you provide the content to answer those, then that shows, that shows your authority. So think about things, even every business can think about seasonal things, and it doesn't have to be specific to your business, right? A lot of people write about how to do this, how to do that, how to do this, when to do that. If you think of other things that aren't specific to a business, you can even, like Mother's Day is coming up, for example. Everybody can do a blog post about Mother's Day or social. There's seasonal things, so spring, summer, winter, fall. There's other holidays, things like that. But you could ask your client what challenges there are. Another thing you can do is what they call kind of content clusters. So think about a group of topics. Let's say, I don't know. In my case, I could write 5 or 6 blog articles about blogging. It's like, how do you come up with the idea? Is one topic. How do you create headlines is another topic. How do you find graphics? How do you structure it? How do you distribute it? All of those are different posts, and all of those can be shared through social media or my newsletter. And so each niche is different, but in some ways the practices are similar. I hope that answers your question about looking for content.
Yeah, no, it totally does. When we're teaching our boot camp, one of the first things that we do is exactly what you said. You sit down and you group your content, you create a content calendar, and everyone's business is a little bit different, but you have to have a plan in place in order to accomplish all of these goals that we have today. You know, in the old days, so to speak, we used to hire someone to do our ads in the paper, so on and so forth. But with social media and where you have to create content constantly every single day, or like you just said, Bonnie, we sit down and we batch our content. So maybe we schedule it for the week. You just have to know what the problems is your clients have. So I like that. What keeps them up at night? That's a good one.
Yeah, well, it's because for me, from a writing background, I'm always trying to portray some kind of emotion because that's what draws people into your content. So that's where I come from, a kind of a pain perspective of what is frustrating them.
Mm-hmm. And I like the analogy of emotion that you've used because, for example, Facebook is a highly emotional vehicle that a lot of us businesses are choosing to use to market on. And I mean, it is a place where I watch what my family and friends are doing. I find out that someone has died. I find out someone's had a baby, someone has cancer or is sick. And so the emotions that we're going through on that social network all by ourselves really puts you in a different mindset. Because we're not usually on social media with a whole bunch of people around us. We're on those social channels all by ourselves. Bonnie, what other examples of non-promotional type of content do you recommend?
Well, there's obviously different online vehicles that you can share, and it depends on your business. It depends on your level of knowledge and time factors. But certainly blogging is the mother of all content creation, and it really gives you an opportunity to expand on your knowledge. It shows your greatness of what you know. And if, you know, even if you don't have a blog on your website, you can post on LinkedIn. There's medium.com is a place where lots of people are posting a lot of content. So there's lots of options there. Your newsletter is a valuable, if you have permission to be in someone's inbox, then that's a valuable place to build a relationship with somebody. So you want to be sure you're providing value and not just promoting. If you just promote all the time, people will stop following you. But if you're providing value, then they'll stay with you. So there's newsletters, there's certainly social media, Facebook Lives, you know, shows like this, podcasts, webinars, those are all things, infographics. You see lots of, you know, free downloads, and that's where you get somebody's email, but you're providing them with valuable content, whether that's an ebook or a checklist or whatever type of valuable information that you're adding.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some online ideas.
Yeah, so you say online, that's the internet, the World Wide Web. What can people do offline? Does it have to be only the internet?
Certainly not. I think it's important for businesses. Online is certainly how lots of people find you, but it's important to be, you know, face to face with people as well. Historically, it's funny, content marketing has been around for a long time. And long before the internet, you know, an example would be soap operas. Like they started on the radio and then, you know, morphed into television, but the networks were providing a story, a valuable story, but the premise there was that they were selling soap. So the housewives that were staying at home had these great ideas, and they learned the brands, you know, through those stories. So that was one example. Another that I love is with Marvel Comics, all the superheroes and things like that. They've been around since about the 50s, but in the 1980s, they created G.I. Joe. And they only distributed about 2 issues, so 2 comic books, but they sold over $1 billion in G.I. Joe action figures. So their content was the stories, the 2 comics, and then their product ended up being the action figures. But certainly for the people on the show, speaking, training, workshops, those are all, stand up. They show your expertise by doing those types of things. But there's also print media. Locally here, there's lots of, ask the expert type columns. So people can put those valuable material in there and that's not promoting anything specific that they're selling. There's radio talk shows, there's internet would be online. But there's also other print media. Like I'm a gardener, so I get seed catalogs every winter, and in there's lots of beautiful pictures, but there's also lots of helpful tips about what to do with those plants, either how to plant them, when to plant them. So that's value added content that makes me see that publication as more valuable than someone that does not. And what else? Yeah. Case studies, things like that.
You also do a lot of networking, Bonnie.
I do.
Yeah. And I'm getting feedback here. So I'm going to let you talk about your networking, which is another really good way that people can think about marketing themselves.
Absolutely. Networking is it is a mindset. I think if somebody is new to networking, they're typically going there to sell their product, but really networking is about building relationships, because everybody in the room is not going to be your client, but you don't know who they might know. So if you build that relationship and they get to trust you, and you share, again, valuable non-promotional information, so, ask people about their marketing, give them a tip or something, that's from my perspective, then they're going to remember you. Ask somebody about their business instead of trying to just talk about yourself. Ask someone about their business and they'll remember that you were listening to them. And just keep nurturing those relationships and you'll end up getting referrals. Or that's been my experience.
No, 100%. Bonnie, I bet you've seen a lot of things, and I'd love it if you could share with everyone that's listening. What are the biggest mistakes that people are making when it comes to content and marketing that you're seeing?
Oh, there's a couple of things. One is the sales aspect. It's just being too salesy. Promote, pick me. Like that's just going to turn people off. And, just like Facebook or other social sites, just an 80-20 rule average, like 80% of the time you should be providing value, like educating or entertaining even. And the other 20%, it's okay to promote, provide an offer. We've got this flavor, whatever that might be, because you still want to educate those people about what you offer. So being too salesy is the number one thing that I see people doing. Then the other is starting out. You're all gung-ho to have a newsletter, have a blog post, and then you stop. And usually it's because there's no plan. It's just people just jump in, I'm going to do this. And it's usually because they don't have a plan of attack of what they're trying to accomplish. So they need to know their client and they need to know their business objectives and marketing objectives and things like that. The other thing is providing, I guess, I would say weak content. The idea of providing value is to provide great content, because that just shows you as the thought leader. And I'm not sure who said that. I think it might have been Mari Smith that said this, but she said, if you do your best work and you give it away for free, imagine what they'll think. They'll say, if she's giving this away for free, what would she be providing if I paid her for her services? Like so you should be providing great content all the time.
Oh, for sure. And you mentioned Mari Smith. Well, Mari is my mentor, and I do a lot of work with Mari, and so does Catherine now. When it comes to things that we see people doing online, The first thing we always look at is their website, people's website, because it's so important that you're giving the consumer a really good experience when they come and find you online. I mean, out of millions of websites, they found you, right?
Exactly.
Give them an incredible experience. So website for us is a really big one. We often see people using photography that is so bad. It is so blurry. There's photo bombing in the background, or toilet seats are open. I always say to my daughter, and poor Tashi, but I always say to her, how you do anything is how you're going to do everything.
Makes sense.
You gotta watch the world around you. And fair enough. A lot of people are just trying. And sometimes when we're trying, we're really struggling to start off. We don't know how to do things. So when you work with people, Bonnie, you sit down and you create a business plan with them. Is that how you get started?
It starts more with a marketing checkup to begin with. It's like see what people are doing already, and certainly website, blog, newsletters, social, how are they showing up online, and then kind of evaluate that, show what they're doing well, but also identify where the gaps might be. And then I recommend how to improve what they're doing, and then maybe where their focus could be to get better results, to get more clients. So it's kind of a combination. I do more of a mentoring service. So if I discover something that's a weakness, but should be a strength, then we can go on and I will mentor them in a way that I'll teach them kind of best practices, and then they'll start implementing, and I'll monitor their progress and see how they're doing. And then they can make tweaks along the way so that they can build good skills and confidence in what they're doing. So it's kind of like teaching the fishermen how to fish.
Yeah. I love your website where you say, I get on your team. I'm part of your team. I'm a team player. And I liked some of the things that I was reading about how you work and who you are. And that's why you're so fabulous. That's why people love working with you, because you're involved. You're part of what they're doing.
I want them to win.
That's right. I loved your tagline, the chief word wrangler.
Oh, yes.
That's awesome.
It's fun, yeah.
It speaks hundreds. Bonnie, if we were to wrap it up right now and you were to share with everyone that's listening on Instagram and here on our Facebook Live, and for the people that are coming back or watching the show for the first time as it's finished, what tip could you give as the best advice for people when it comes to content marketing for them getting started?
Like I mentioned earlier, it's really looking at your client and what their aches and pains are about their business, because you're obviously providing some kind of service that's going to help them. Or even if they don't have a business, even think of a realtor that's, looking after, someone that's buying or selling a house. What angst do they have, and how can you help create information that can help them relieve that stress? So, and once you start identifying those, I almost guarantee that you'll start thinking about them more. I have a book beside my computer, and I call it my idea book, and I just, that would be a good blog post, or I wonder about this, or I should ask someone about that. And you'll start thinking about those types of things, and then you'll start building those kind of clusters of content. If like I mentioned earlier about blogging, I could create 5 or 6 posts about that. Or if you're a dog groomer, you could have stuff about dog training or dog food, or, there's lots of different things around there. So just really zero in on your client, understand your client and what their pains are, and then make a plan. That's my advice.
That is excellent advice, Bonnie. Thank you so much. We look and we tell people, watch the world around you. That is what your content is. And Yeah, when you see things happening around you and when it has to do with your industry or your clients, take pictures, keep things, and then when you sit down to build your content, just like you said, you've got your ideas already all in your head, and it's not as hard and it's not such a struggle when you have a plan in place. Bonnie, it's been so nice having you on Social Chats. Finally, I know I've been reaching out to you for a little bit, trying to get you on the show with all your wonderful ideas and your expertise. And we'd like to thank everyone that tuned in to listen to Bonnie. And yeah, thank you very much, Bonnie. That was a great 30 minutes. It goes fast.
It does. Yeah, exactly. No, that was super. Thank you, Heather.
Okay, awesome. I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone here. I see that the sun has shifted again above my head here in the studio. I'll be right with you, Bonnie. All right, everyone. Well, that's 30 minutes on Instagram and 30 minutes here on Social Chats, our live Facebook show, where we encourage you, if you're watching the replay, go ahead and ask us questions. We certainly are in touch with Bonnie, and she can answer your questions. We're going to put how you can get a hold of Bonnie into the comment section, Bonnie's website, and her social media links. So if you want to reach out to Bonnie and talk with her, we'll have all that information for you here. Stay tuned. We have some incredible guests coming on the next couple of weeks. A lot to do with maybe virtual photography and video, as well as we have a young lady that actually brought back Facebook and Instagram shirts for Catherine and I from Facebook headquarters in California. And there's a reason she was at Facebook, and it has to do with the amount of money that company is spending on Facebook ads. So we're really excited about some of our guests that are coming in the month ahead. And this is Heather and Catherine. Thank you so much for all your help as the producer on the show. And remember, everyone, the motto for Keep It Simple Social Media is that. Keep it simple, everyone.